And so like now the streets, the city is coming back. I must admit that it's coming back. Mayor Bree pivoted, and maybe she pivoted a little bit too late in order for her to get reelected, but she did pivot. And when she pivoted, she started making the necessary changes like treatment and saying things that is not going to happen in this city. And as of today, most of the Tenderloin, the area where most of the activity has happened, is basically cleaned up. You may have 1 or 2 blocks that are with people on them, but one thing is gone, all the tents are gone, and they're moving people off of the street. But what they've done is moved everybody from the Tenderloin to the 6th Street corridor, one of the main thoroughfares of coming off the freeway, and from Market Street to about Folsom Street, which is about a 4-block range, and the alleys in between. It's just open-air drug markets, open-air drug use, and the decadence of whatever happened in the city over the last 4 years. But the embodiment of the city and the people of the city won't change now. And you can kind of sense it because more people are coming back to the city, tourists are coming back to the city, and it's all concentrated in one area right now. Now, do we have enough money to be able to take care of this situation? I would say we do, but we're also going in a budget crisis. So we're going to have a budget deficit for the next 2 or 3 years. But as we move into this, I always believe there's enough money in this city right now to take care of this problem. Because the other side is we have a lot of people that come, consumers that come from across the country and from across the world to be able to come to our open air drug scene because nothing is going to happen to you. You won't get arrested. People will give you the means to use, in which I mean DPH. DPH still, at this point, when we're at this pandemic level with drug use and with fentanyl, they're still going out in the middle of the night, passing out pipes, passing out tin foil. So for me, it's like, if that's what you're doing, be open and upfront about it. Why do you go out at midnight, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, passing it out, instead of doing it openly in the daytime? And my part is that we should be past that at this point. It's time for it to just say stop, total abstinence, and that it needs to be removed from the street. But a lot of people are feeling this now and sensing it. We used to be at this part where everybody wanted it off the street, but they always said compassion. And I was always confused about compassion because I can tell my child no, and I'm still being compassionate. I'm still your parent, and I still know what's best for you sometimes. But on the other side, most people let it exist and do nothing about it. And I'm just going to put this on it, that by being more, I would say, white people that are on the drugs, young white kids that are on the drugs, I think is another reason why the compassionate side is always there, saying compassionate. Because it wasn't compassion when it was crack in the 70s and the 80s, and even in the 90s. Nobody was talking compassion. Everybody was talking about lock 'em up for 1 rock, half a rock, whatever, because it had a black face on it. So when it's a white face on it, all of a sudden it's changed. Now we have to be compassionate in removing them from the street. Now we have to be a lot more lenient. Now we have to be able to put our arms around them and give them the means to continue to hurt and harm themselves. But at the same time, the people of color in those neighborhoods are suffering when those kids have to witness this every day. When you have to step over, when you're walking down the street and people's wasted matters on the street. When people do whatever they want to do when they want to do it. So, but when you're looking at it, just to answer your question, we're in a part where we're ready to change, and it's a place where it change, and I think we're at the doorstep to be able to make that change. But it's going to be up to the new mayor to come in. He got a hell of a job on his hands, but it's going to be up to him if he has the courage to be able to make the necessary decisions to remove it. Because nobody wants to arrest anyone, but that's what needs to be done as far as I'm concerned. You offer them help, you offer them treatment, you offer them whatever it is that they need, be it mental health or whatever it is. If they refuse, then the consequences is then you go to jail. Then while they're in jail, what we should have in jail is even programs in jail, mental health services in custody, so you still have access to be able to help them. And even after they are there, to offer them the same kind of help when they are released. The problem is in San Francisco is the judges, because the average length of stay in county jail in San Francisco is 3 days, no matter what the crime is. So what can change in 3 days? No matter what the crime is. They'll put you on an ankle monitor. If it's a violent offense, they'll put you on ankle monitor. Now, that's changing a little bit. The DA is pushing very hard, but the judges have not changed at all.
So there was a crackdown on the drug dealers. Is that happening? They were arresting the drug dealers.
Yeah, still arresting drug dealers, but they're not arresting them at the rate, because there's still drugs on the street. So, and even if they get arrested, then most of them are Hondurans. So then San Francisco want to hide behind this, we're a sanctuary city. So you shouldn't punish them at all for what they're doing, because most of them are selling drugs against their will. And that was their way to get here, which, okay, it might be a few that's doing that. Might be 20, 30% of them doing that. But the fact of the matter is that they still selling drugs. And it's an issue that needs to be dealt with. And like I said, again, San Francisco talks out both sides of his neck. One time you're a sanctuary city, but then you're going to allow people to come here and sell drugs. And also a place where you'll give them housing, and they're not even citizens. So I don't quite understand. When local San Francisco people have been staying there all their life, still homeless in the TL. So that's another problem for me. And also that part where I was saying people coming from outside of other cities could get GA right away, could get housing right away within 3 months of being there, could get that. And the citizens of San Francisco that are born and raised there suffering.
Now, are the people that are in these streets like doing drugs, do they have access to housing?
I would say between 50 to 60% of the people already have housing, but they choose to continue to live on the street.
So they have the housing and they're on the street?
Yes, because I can't sometimes bring it into some places, or I can't, not that I can't bring the drugs in, but I can't bring my friend, your friend, and everybody else in. And plus the way fentanyl is, that drug is like, as soon as it wears off, you want it back, have to get high immediately. So when you have to do that, you stay close to the drug. You never want to leave it. Because even my own self, I know as a reflection, I was a heroin addict. And I never traveled and went nowhere because I was afraid to always leave my connection of being close to it. And so I can imagine what fentanyl is like for people. That's why I know part of why they stay in the street like that, because easy access, you have to stay right there. So I can always, and it's cheap, $5, $10 a hit. So anything that cheap, then, you have to use it a lot of times.